Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Sea Live podcast. My name's Sam, and it's week 2. It is week 2 of the Sea Live podcast, and it's a big one. It's a big one. We've got a special live guest this evening, but I have the maestro, the mystery person, will be revealed in a moment. But we have Chris Varnes as well.
Hello. How's everyone doing tonight on this lockdown? I don't even know what day it is. I don't even know how many days we've been locked down for. I'm just going with it. How many days is it?
I don't even know.
I don't even know what day it is. Is it Wednesday?
Yeah, I think it's Wednesday. Yeah, I think it's Wednesday.
Yeah. I think So I'm just living each day as it comes now, to be honest with you. But do you know what? I've quite enjoyed lockdown so far. Have you, Sam?
I'm enjoying it. It's good. It's good. I've been chilling. I've been cooking. I've been playing, games. What more can you ask for?
That's what it's all about, though, isn't it? We've just got to stay in, so we do everything that we can to stay in. If I'm honest
Absolutely. With you. Well, before we start with our mystery guess, some of you might have guessed it from last week with Chris's there it is. Who could it be? It was announced on Saturday anyway, so it's not really much of a surprise. But before we get into that, I just want to point everyone's attention to our social media. Please go and follow us on Sea Live on Facebook, and also at Sea Live Entertainer 1 on Twitter, and also Sea Live UK on Instagram. So without further ado, let me introduce you to the man who is known in Liverpool, around, and the world, essentially, as Mr. John Lennon. Paul, how are we doing today?
Good. I was worried that you were going to say I was known as owing everybody money.
Well, I mean, there's a few...
Yeah, you're better.
So, first off, are you well? How is everything going with yourself in regards to...
With my mum's okay. At the moment, yeah, I've had to make a couple of trips for food and stuff. That's about it, really. But like everybody else, gone stir crazy, I suppose.
I mean, I think it's important for us.
Probably like everybody, all your work's gone. Just like what do you do?
Yeah.
So like everybody had been waiting for hours on phones to try and get in touch with people to try and, in some way, sort it out. So that's kind of coming to an end. I'll have to do something.
I mean, we're all in a similar position. I mean, we're all musicians. We all have something to do with music at the moment, and it's there's nothing there, is there? There's nothing there.
Nothing.
No, there's no hope or prospect at the moment. This is the best gig I've got right now.
There's always hope.
But thankfully,
what we've got to do.
Go on, Chris.
What we've got to do is just all push on and do things like this and try and work together because when this comes out, when we come out of this, that's when we push ourselves further, and that's when we come into our own, because people are going to need entertaining. People are going to need to be entertained.
You would hope so. You would think that anyone who's ready to go, and I'm sure everybody will just be going flat out to try and make up what they've lost, really, and get out there. And they'd be so stir crazy, they'll just want to get out and sing everywhere.
No, I agree. I think people will want to party at the end of the day. That's what being stuck inside these four walls has felt like anyway. I can't wait to just do what I want to do rather than being stuck inside here. So
I think you're right. I think that. Well, I'm hoping so. I can't see why anyone wouldn't feel that way, and I just hope that the kindness that you've seen around. There's some other stuff that isn't, but mostly people are being kind, thoughtful, and reflective about things. And I think with a bit of luck, that might extend to when we do get through this, and just think of things that you don't need, and stop chasing things that you think you need and you don't.
I agree. The fact that we're all musicians as well. As I haven't really struggled with the lockdown, but it's being on stage that's us, isn't it? And it's performing, and you do. It's the only thing it's the only thing I have missed, to be honest with you.
Well, I think in the wider point of that, though, Chris, I think our profession has always been kind of tenuous and knife-edged, and you never know when your next gig was coming. But people have realised that so are they, in every what's supposedly be a regular job isn't. And the whole, in fact, everything in the world is actually always just on a knife edge. Actually, it doesn't take much. I mean, it's a major thing, but it doesn't take much to just completely be catastrophic in the economy and our health and how we go on and we deal with each other. You know what I mean? And it's an eye-opener for a lot of people, And the great thing, one of the things I think, while we're here talking about it, all the people who are supposed to be low-skilled, not really useful to anybody, let's not give them any money, are the ones we're all relying on right now, isn't it? So that's changed things.
Those are the people who are essentially running the country at the moment. They're the ones that are having to sacrifice and be on the front line.
They always were, but we're completely ignored, and we were sold that they weren't important. Well, I never was, but lots of people were, and they were sacrificed, really, in terms of what they get paid, how they get treated, and the security of the job. But it just makes you realise, you take that away, we haven't really got much else,
No. But that's the beauty of musicians as well, because we're always going to be there when we come out of this, aren't we? Musicians are always there as well.
Well, same thing. I think you're right. We're kind of discounted as well as not important, and also it's often treated as not a real job, so it doesn't really matter if you're not really working. Just lounge around anyway. Which is just not true.
Well, maybe me a little bit.
Well, apart from you, Sam, I didn't want to say. Chris was pointing like this. You can't see it.
Although I saw it help musicians.
I was going to mention this.
I've been pushing things a little bit to give some a little bit of money for musicians. So if you can apply for it, do it.
I agree with you.
They're giving a little bit. It's not much, but you know what? Every penny helps at the moment for musicians because we've got nothing.
I think the only blessing is how much quieter it is, or all the drummers stopped.
Oh, we love a good drummer.
Drummers,
we love a good drummer.
Really.
Right, I think it's moving on time. I think it's fair to start off with yourself, Paul, and talking about you being a local lad from Liverpool.
Yes.
And it's kind of similar to the tribute that you you are.
Well, my hymn now is the thing, isn't it? I mean, I went to a grammar school, a grammar stream I went to our college as well, so that accounts for my accent, because I'm actually, where I was brought up was actually Commercial Road, bottom of Scotland Road. So my accent's probably it certainly has changed an awful lot from then. But I was the one where I led a satchel and used to get things thrown at me and stuff.
I think every musician when they were young used to be that person.
Because I went to college, to be honest, there's more to do with that. But I think I was prepped to be him. I always loved the Beatles anyway. It was always something I wanted to do. But I was writing my own songs and very nearly made it several times. And the last time when I was writing for a girl on TV and working with a big producer, just done Take That and everything, and that went sideways. So my cousin Derek he was in a band called the Cabin Beatles, and he was always asking me to do it anyway, because we'd been in a band together when we were literally kids, travelling, touring up the northeast just before it all kind of went. I was the only one old enough to drive. That tells you how old we were. And we used to work 9 shows a week. We were known as the band that never woke up. No one had a watch.
It sounds like
honestly, we were really young, and my uncle put the van together for us, and he put like a 1600 engine in it. Its tongue used to be hanging out, just going up a low incline.
Wow!
So all the lorry drivers used to be laughing at us because we could never overtake anybody.
No, you were saying, Paul, about you went to college, and was that to study music, or was there a plan B?
Well, no, that was the supposed plan A, to get everyone off my back so I could do plan B, which was to be a musician. Once I picked the guitar up, there's no going back, really. I was only in my teens when I first started doing it professionally. And apart from a few gaps here and there, I've done it ever since. I worked in offices and, petrol pump attendants and factories and building sites and all sorts in between colleges and also regular jobs. And then I worked in a drawing office at one stage, obviously, because of the things I was good at tech drawing as well. So plans and maps I used to draw, and so that's what I used to do. But I always wanted to do this, and once I got I was published from a very early age as well. I very nearly made it like 3 times, really. So but the Beatles were always there, and in fact, George Harrison was going to help me. I got my first management contract through George.
Amazing.
But I never met him. Because every time I was there, he wasn't. And then I got there, I just on Radio 1. I was with a guy, and he didn't really get the gravity of who we were going to meet. And we went in, because it basically what happened, I sent off some stuff, and it came back from them, unsolicited material, no chance, you don't listen. But the secretary listened to it and liked it and asked George, could she help? And he said, yeah. And at the time, he just didn't want to sign anybody. I realised now he had about 200 and odd lawsuits, going against them, so they didn't want to sign anybody. But anyway, we were there after Radio 1, and I saw we like in the basement in Cadogan Square, which was Handmade Films, and I saw the Porsche on the top, so I knew he was in. When we came back, she said, George knows you're here and wants to meet you. I said, oh, great, okay, sit on the couch. How long is it going to be? Well, I don't know, about 5-6 hours. And I went, off, I'm not waiting 5 hours for anyone. 5 hours, and he thought it was hilarious. And although I never met him, which I'm sad about now because of that, he actually had more respect for me. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So he made sure we got our first contract, and we were looked after. So, but I regret not meeting him.
It's fascinating to think that you were pretty much, 5 or 6 hours away from meeting a legend. But
it was, but I was only very, very young, and the fella I was with didn't really get it, and he was making me nervous by just being, when you're dead young, you just worry what other people think. Now less so, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all it was. I was just super nervous, I suppose.
Right.
Yeah.
But yes, if what you're asking, do I regret it, Sam? Yes, I absolutely.
Well, I wasn't going to say it like that, but. Yeah, I think I would have waited.
I would have waited.
Well, now I would have waited. I've had 20 cups of coffee, had a chat, read the paper. Do you know what I mean? It was just nerves, and I just bottled it probably.
It is George Harrison, you're right.
But he thought it was fun. He thought it was really, he liked it. He liked it. But I didn't want to. I guess because it did matter so much. I didn't want to be like a, hello, George, I'm your fan.
Right.
Yeah, but
I've waited 6 hours just to say hello and you spit. Do you know what I mean?
So much though after the Beatles, didn't he? He was involved in sort of. Was he involved in the Ruttles film?
He was involved in everything to do with that. Well, he financed
the Monty Python films, wasn't it?
His house. Yeah, he remortgaged his house. They were always around that way. I never met them then, but they were always around there. But. No, I was going to say that with him, I found out later, the guy who was in the office, so I used to go to the office all the time, was Ray Cooper, the percussionist. Usually percussionist is what he was the percussion. And he was lovely, really, really nice, and he said, I really like your stuff, and I'm going to sit down with George tonight and make him listen. And he did, and George liked it. He said, I'm not signed them, they'll probably make millions or something.
Yeah, that's it. But what was you don't even know.
But what was nice, they had the piano that Billy Preston played on the roof, the Fender Rose, that was in the office. But apparently the first draft of Let It Be was written on that, and I said, can I play it? And he said, yeah, go on. So I did. I played the piano that Let It Be was supposedly first attempted on anyway, that Billy Preston played on the roof. That was in the in Ray Cooper's office, which was nice.
Unbelievable. So I think
so. The Beatles were always around. They were always around. They always hinted them as something. When I was I'd had enough after that deal fell flat, and I went with John when the anthology came out, and I was in the queue because John, my brother, wanted to get a low number, which he did, and in the queue I filled a form in or something, and I won it. I won one, and it was felt like a sign not to give up. And then the Beatle thing came in, and I took it. I didn't think I'd do it for 20 years, but I did.
Yeah, and I think that leads me on to my next question, in that you're saying you've done it for 20 odd years now. Does it ever become tedious? Because the reason why I asked that question is that, there are tribute artists that are out there at the moment that necessarily have their artist alive and they're moving with the times. But in the case with you, you've got a legend of music that is no longer with us, that is kind of stuck in that period, stuck in that time. So I just wanted to ask, is it a bit repetitive in that regard?
I think the thing with it is it's so idiosyncratic and so difficult to master. It really is, to do it like you're just doing it. If you're doing it properly, not someone who just think, I'll pick a sod of grass up and put that on my head and that'll do me, which a lot do. That the market got swamped by those sort of levels, really. When I first did it, there were only 3 bands around who were any good, and the level that I played at in terms of corporate and arenas and theatres and everything on TV around the world, there was only 3 really big bands which kind of treated like the Beatles by proxy. So on the one hand, it was never boring, do you know what I mean? You always treated it at a decent level, but I think it is so hard to master that you could never really relax with it. There's always something you come back to and get a little nuance difference to it. Plus, it's a bloody good job.
Well,
do you know what I mean? I mean, the places I've been, I have lived like a Beatle, really. In my time and the heights of, especially when I started, limousines and the first class and champagne all over the place. That happened, for real. And so, and then you become like them. It's blasé to do that then. But it's not been a bad life, so they're getting tedious or anything. No, I can live with that. It's like anybody who does any job, really. If you like it and you're really good at it, and I've always done my own stuff as well. I think it's a good job making music and trying to be as good as you can doing it. And I'm lucky people think I am, certainly some of his family did. So it's nice
Excellent.
for me.
I want to know, do you have like champagne when we've arrived at gigs?
It's whoever who books us, really, and I'd say that's you. I'd like to say it's you. You're the one that books us for places.
Well, my gig or your gig?
I have to start putting this in the contract. Champagne on arrival.
Oh, used to be silly. It used to be absolutely silly.
What guitar have you got?
That's the Gibson, the 160E that they always. I've had this, I don't know, 15 or more years now. It's a beautiful guitar.
Can you give us a little song?
You didn't say I had to sing with it as well.
Well,
just a nice bit of wood.
just a snippet of something, maybe.
Okay. This happened once before when I came to your door. No reply. They said it wasn't you, but I saw you peep through your window. I saw the light. I saw the light. I know that you saw me, 'cause I looked up to see your face. If I were you, I realized that I love you more than any other guy. And I'll forgive the lies that I had before, when you gave me no reply. I tried to tell it so. They said you went home. That's a lie. 'Cause I know where you've been. I saw you walking your door. No reply. No reply.
Hey, well done. Fantastic.
Just as you edited, Sam.
Do you prefer playing any specific sort of time for the Beatles? Do you like the earlier stuff? Do you prefer the later stuff? Do you prefer the solo stuff?
What do I prefer?
Yeah.
All of it. I think what I like about the Beatles is that every single song kind of bettered the last one. because they evolved and they got better and they learned every single time. So I think the standards are amazingly high when you think of what they did and the time they had to do it. They were so productive. They really were prodigious people. There's not for that. So I like them all. I mean, I love the energy of the early stuff. And for me, I think, you see the Beatles in Hard Day's Night. That's the Beatles forever for me. That's the Beatles I prefer. The black suited Beatles and stuff. I didn't particularly like the look, the way they went, the hippie thing. I think it was very much of its time. But I don't like that as a style. It's not something I would ever wear. But I prefer them. Probably when they got to about 65, 66, they looked just about perfect. In that time, how they looked perfectly as people, as they dressed. Just before they went to multicoloured stuff like that. I never liked that. I thought that was very much of its time. It probably would never happen now. But the Beatles for me, black suits, grey suits.
Was the part of the whole sort of Carnaby beat and the influence?
What's the drugs and everything? The whole that culture was really, the austerity after the war. That was, it didn't end. People forget that 1955 before rationing stopped. They grew up through that. So for the first time ever, the cultural thing was that young people had money. There used to be, you were just an age and then you went to work and you were like your dad or your granddad then. There was then a gap between those two things, the teenage years, which the Beatles occupied, but Elvis did first, I guess, and then the 60s was the explosion of that. And I think it was, to be honest with you, that's why the Conservatives rammed it right back from the 80s onwards. They weren't going to have that again. As soon as they got back into power, they squashed that right back down.
Yeah.
That, laissez-faire, do what you like, everything, because that leads to anarchy, doesn't it?
Well, that's it. Was there ever a process to become Lennon? Did you have to evolve things, or was it quite an easy sort of thing?
For me, I think the initial thing I had to get over was embarrassment, because when I first did it, I was just no dress rehearsal or anything. I was parachuted in, literally, to a theatre show.
The first band, so you were just thrown in.
For the Cavern Beatles, they lost the guy. Derek always wanted me in, got me in. I went and sat because I knew the songs more or less. But you don't really know them until you do them properly, because the idiosyncrasies of them are just, you're always learning those. But so I went and did a gig that I'd never rehearsed, a 2-hour theatre gig, and then I was like, long hair on me and costume I'd never worn till that night. It was crazy. It really shouldn't have put me in, but they had no choices. But the fact that nobody noticed and everybody was, I just couldn't believe how people were just staring at me. And that's one of the things that you learn very, very quickly, is the power of the Beatles. You get this wave of affection by proxy. They were adored, and it's a powerful thing once you learn how to use it. And then what I learned how to be is that by being him and not me, you can. It's just what you can get away with by not being yourself, and it taught me how to be on stage better, to be honest with you, because it is a role in a way. It's an extended you. So me being him, and I just picture him in my head and then try and replicate it outwards. And I didn't really know I could do it so well until we were filming one time, and I saw the outtakes of the film, and it was just like this now, and I'm talking, and then there's a little light goes like that, and I just became somebody else. I didn't know. Oh, Chris has just pulled the parachute there.
Did you have to study his mannerisms, or did you just kind of?
I knew him, and I studied them as well afterwards.
Yeah.
I never didn't, but I know it so well. I knew it. I read everything you could read on the Beatles. I was fascinated. As a songwriter, I wanted to learn anyway. But I was fascinated with the story, the fact they came here, and the phenomenon they were.
Yeah.
And he was always my idol anyway, out of them. I loved them all, but he was the one that stood out for me. So I knew him intrinsically. There's an acting like someone and just sticking some clothes on, and there's being someone. There's a big difference, and I hope I do the latter.
Well, yeah, my uncle was in a band called the D-Siders. And the Beatles were the Silver Beatles at that point. Yeah. And he said he always struggled with Lennon. At gigs, he said he was a nightmare to
I can imagine it.
To be on in the same bill as, if you know what I mean.
He was a mess, though, wasn't he? He was a mess all up to the way his childhood was, and just losing his mother. He was psychologically a mess.
So it sounds like us after all this lockdown.
Me trying to do this stream.
found himself towards the end. But yes, so I can imagine he was. I know. I mean, sadly, he's passed now. Did you ever meet Johnny Hutchinson?
No.
He was fantastic. Our John became very good friends. Well, you know my brother John very well. You know, as you know, he knows Ricky, who know my dad very well. And he became a good friend. Johnny Hutchinson was in the big three, but he taught Ringo to play. Sold him his first guitar, his first car and stuff. But he was left-handed playing the right-handed kit as well. And they were really good friends, him and John. They clashed because he was abrasive as well. That's what he could never have been in the Beatles. He was offered the job first.
Wasn't your dad on the stage?
My dad was a comedian, yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you used to see your dad and then think I want to be on stage to represent?
I think it was something I always did. I was always singing from when I was little. Always trying to write songs from when I was very little as well. So I think it was my uncles played guitar, both of them. They're great singers and entertainers. They were always that's a good job, you know. They were working as well, and they always every weekend they were immaculately dressed as well, you know, beautiful mohair suits and everything. They went out. My uncle, I used to have to collect my uncle's guitar because we lived in flats and he left it down below, forgotten his key, and would climb over the veranda to get in, but leave the guitar. Obviously, he couldn't throw that up. And it was Hofstadter Presidents, you know, the beautiful blonde Hofstadter committees and all those. Worth a lot of money now. So he always used to play, always used to have an amplifier and everything. And my Uncle Phil, I hope he's looking. He was trying to get online. Phil's got a voice who really should have been the best country singer around. He's that good. He did used to say, "It's in B. Give me a B, and I'll flatten it myself."
the only story I know about when he played guitar with this fella who went to the institution with him, or he was in the institution with McCartney and Harrison, but he had an amplifier, and he used to go with them because he had an amplifier, so the people used them for the amplifier to go to the studios, and he said one day he said Lennon had this battered old guitar, and it was all guitars in the studio. Lennon put his on the stand, took one off the stand, and then they left.
Yeah, I can believe that.
That is and he said he was just like, this is just crazy.
It was just what I think he was just so messed up. He just did things for bravado to show off. I really believe that. You know, he couldn't. There's a great story Johnny told me though, which you'll like. Johnny lived in Huskinson Street. What is Huskinson Street? Huskinson Street, isn't it? He lived there, and when John was in Gambia Terrace, he used to knock for him. They just used to hang out in the Jacaranda. With no money and just sit there. Anyway, he came up with a red velvet waistcoat one time, and John said, that's great, that. What was that? My mum made it for me. He said, well, do you think she'd make me one? I said, yeah, you get her the material. So he did, and he had one. So anyway, Johnny tells me, a little while later, he was owed 10 shillings, he said, 10 Bobby owed me, John. And I was skin sore, so I'll get that off him. And he knocked on the door. Hey, you, where's my money? I haven't got it, Johnny. Well, I want it. He goes back in and he goes, I'll take this as payment. And it was a self-portrait with him wearing the red velvet waistcoat. I said, oh, yeah, okay, my ma will love that. I'll put it over the fireplace. So he took it back. He had that for his 10 shilling. So he went to Hamburg and he come back. Where's the painting? Oh, there's a hole in the window at the back, so your dad just nailed it. As needs must.
Would you like to give us another song while we've got a chance?
If I must.
Before we do that, Chris, if you can just lower your volume on your phone, and then I'll give you a little one of these, just because we're getting a little bit of bleed from your speakers on your phone. You just had a little bit of bleed. But what are you going to be performing next for us, please, Paul?
This one. Some have changed, some forever, not for better. Some have gone, and some remain. All these places have their moments. With lovers and friends, I still can recall. Some are dead and some are living. In my life. I love them all. I'm doing shortened versions of Short Life because you've got these.
You never know. But that's a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. A round of applause.
You see, go for the applause before you go too far and go, stop.
Have you got a favourite guitar that you play as John? Because he played a Casino, didn't he?
Yeah, the Blonde Casino, the one I've got is absolutely beautiful as well. It's a Korean-made one, and it just sounds great when you just play it before you even plug it in. Again, I've had that for a long time. It's immaculate as well. This is my favourite of all because I've always wanted one. You know, I used to see them playing, you know. Oh, sorry. Apparently, from Billy Kinsley used to take all the stuff home when in the Mersey Beast. They were like their roadies and took all the gear home. And he said there used to be all his guitars were chopped to bits because he had absolutely abused them, battered them.
No, I knew he was popping them over.
So I always wanted one of these. I absolutely love the little Rick as well. It just looks beautiful. It's a great rhythm guitar. But you know, I think of all of them, the all-round guitars, the Epiphone. Paul McCartney thought that if he could only have one guitar, it'd be the Epiphone Casino. Really? I don't know if you know this, Chris. Though you know, I always thought that they were kind of the subsidiary guitars of Gibson, but it was the other way around. They were the guitar, and Gibson bought them out. So they were the best apparently. When the Beatles had Epiphones, they were like the best guitars.
I always find I've got a Casino, and I always find it's so hard to control the
feedback. The feedback is but I use it as a rhythm guitar only, really, and it's for that. That's what it's kind of. It is a hybrid because really, you know, I've got another pickup put in this, but this pickup is a P90, which is exactly the same as the Epiphone. So this kind of is a semi-acoustic. Really, it's electric, you know, really. And I don't know if you're aware of it, but nearly all the albums up until a certain point, all the rhythm guitars were these.
Wow.
Yeah.
It wasn't the Epiphone, it was the Rick, it was this. Because you know, the first ones he had were battered. They were like cheap and been battered all over the place. It wasn't until he went to America and they gave him a really nice new one. His was just painted black.
Yeah, but when we listen to some of these songs, and I've known you for a long time, so I know sometimes you tune the guitar slightly different. Is that purely for your voice, or is it just?
Well, it started with some of the McCartney ones. It's very, very high for some people to go, and it's, you know, when I was in the first bands, you know, everyone was like, had to look like they did, look the right place and good. And when I left that situation, you tended to play more with a mix of people coming in, more depping really, and some of them just couldn't reach it. So, and also if you were playing an awful lot, like I have done, you know, 5-6 nights a week, your voice gets battered. So a semitone down just saves it. You know, because they were only like 21, 22, 23 when they were doing the earlier stuff, and they were roaring at it, but they were playing 24/7 forever, so the voices were really good. And I have found that, you know, when you are playing all the time, your voice gets stronger and stronger and stronger. So, but that's all it is. But they did play slightly lower in America. I think we were talking about this before, that the concert pitch in America is slightly lower than British. It's kind of in the cracks between a semitone and a tone. So they just used to tune to any piano that was close. George used to tune their guitars.
Have you got a particular place, Paul, where, well, not place, but more performance, where you've thought, yeah, that was the one? Your best performance?
My personal best performance for...
Maybe if it was something to do with who was in the audience or the actual venue itself.
Well, the venue itself, I'd say one of the best ones when it really started to be something else was when I used to play in Belfast, because it was, you know, I was new to it then and I'd just gotten into it, and we used to play the Empire over there, which is by Botanic Gardens, and it's right by the university there. So, and at the time Britpop was huge, so the end of the 90s, you know, they used to come in, and of course it'd been a war zone, so young people as well, it used to be full. We used to play 2 nights, sometimes 3, but mostly 2. And from the first song to the last song, they'd sing every song full on in it, and they just loved it. I mean, partly because I think it was the environment of the thing and the release, and they love the Beatles as well. And they were the best. They were the most amazing because they were. I mean, the stage was kind of, you were standing there, it was chest height, so they're grabbing at you. And it was also one of the times when I first realised the power of being what I was, and how serious it was taken by other people. Because well, as I said, all the monitors were there, so you got your Cuban heels on, so you're already on your toes. So the monitor, your shin was on the, like a fulcrum on the monitors, and they were grabbing at you, and all grabbing at you, and then this girl grabbed me, and I'm pretty strong, and I couldn't, it was a death grip, I couldn't, and I had big like eyes like this, right? So I got off anyway. So anyway, where we used to sign autographs, like there's a little room to the side, and that was the part. One part was go to the ladies, and the other part was a little room, and we signed all the posters and stuff, and there's a big gang getting stuff, and the bouncer come round, and they said, a girl wants her autograph for you. I went, okay, hang on, where was she standing? He said, oh, right in front of you. I said, no. and he looked at me like I was mad, right? And then we come back in, she says, look, she won't go, what's the matter with you? She's beautiful. So I'll tell you what, I'll do it if you stand there and you watch her when I'm signing. So he's looking at me like I'm bad. And he comes in, she makes a liar of me rather. Oh, thank you very much. Oh, thank you. You're marvellous. Well, thank you. Oh, my God, what a despiction. You hadn't been up. I'm starting to relax. Sign the autograph. Thank you. Another one? Yeah, no problem. Can we have a photograph? Yeah, okay. And he's looking at me like you. And so I put my arm around it. Clicked it. Well, thank you. And then she just went, I love you, John. I'm not John. You're John. Mr. Wiggs, for me. Wiggs. No, and I said, I told you.
Oh my goodness me.
And it's honestly, this was a young girl as well, so it's like she was adamant I was him, which brings it, and there's a lot of that still, where people actually start talking to you like you're you, and then within 2 seconds they talk to you like you're him, and start asking us, you don't mind me speaking about the Beatles like this, do you? Because it's, no, not him,
Now, do you sign an autograph as you or as John?
It depends what they ask. I usually sign it as me. I'm not that sad, Chris. But if they ask me to sign it, what I'll do is I'll put Paul okay, and I'll put John in inverted commas underneath.
Right.
So
okay.
I haven't crossed that line. But I tell you what, there's lots who have. That's all I'm saying. There's a showbiz insider joke for you.
So,
what's your favourite to play?
As a band.
As a band, or as just you?
As a band, I always, even me, I think, because it was a challenge to do, and I hope I do it well, as I'm the Walrus, because it's not easy. It's very him, and to pull that one off, and I hope I have, and I did that with an 80-piece orchestra in the arena, and that was incredible. It really was, to pull that one off, I think, was hard to do, hard to do. But I love anything with the harmony, and I just love singing them. I love Baby in Black. I love singing Baby in Black with people, when you really hit the harmony. It's so powerful. So powerful.
Oh, fun. Do you want to give us another song? If you
I'll try. I'll do a little bit of one.
Yeah.
Words are flowing out like endless rain into a paper cup. They slither as they pass, they slip away across the universe. Pools of sorrow and waves of joy are drifting through my open mind, possessing and caressing me. Jai Guru Deva. Oh, nothing's gonna change my world. 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 Jai Guru Deva. Jai Guru Deva. Jai Guru Deva.
hey, well well done. John! I
I love you too, George.
love you, John!
So, Sam, it kind of comes to the point where we have to say why we're dealing with Paul at the moment and what we've got kind of going on. I don't know whether you want to explain a bit more.
With us?
Yeah, with us and what we're doing at the moment.
I've known for a long time, but we've known each other.
Well, we've got a couple of things, and one way because the police might be listening. But that's a joke, folks. Okay, don't get carried away. You know, bit of levity in the mood of the times. The first one, obviously, we're going to do this. Hopefully, the solo thing called Being John, which is, you know, touches on the very thing I said before about the weirdness of being him, you know. Like, I'll tell you, I was filming one time to do a promo and dressed it in the early Beatles stuff. And we went outside his house, me and Chris, who was in the backbeat. And as they were coming out, the curator was letting people out and he's letting people out. And he stopped and looked. And he said, we're closed. I said, that's okay, we're just standing outside. He said, but you of all people, I'm really sorry. I said, it's okay, it's all right. No, I'm honestly, of all everyone, I just let you. I said, I'm not him.
Yeah,
I'm not him. Weird. So the being John part is like, you know, being John, being him, and me being encompassed in that, and, you know, being drawn in. So we're going to do something, hopefully, that demos that kind of idea, and you're going to help me do it, put the shows on. And do a story arc, and then we've got the Lennon and McCartney thing, and hopefully both of them will be a scaled down version in the sense that there'll be strings and a piano playing, a more intimate, you know, performance of these, because the songs with harmonies are just great anyway.
Yeah,
you know, with something of a story arc there, not without actually, you know, lecturing people or anything. I mean, just to tell a story through the music in a way, with you know, with links in between. And I think we're both very excited. Well, three of us are excited about that.
Yeah, and there's so much you can fit in, and it's fitting in the right songs, the right
to tell the vibe of it.
Yeah, to get it, and the Lennon McCartney side, we've obviously got you, and we've got a top Paul McCartney. One of the top ones in the country, so it's all going to come together hopefully in this lovely idea.
Well, as long as we don't pop off, that's the thing.
Yeah, we're not in lockdown till the end of the year.
Well, you just laid out there's no way we can get sick. We haven't got time for that.
No, exactly. But we've filmed a couple of things, haven't we? Over the last few
which
years.
I'm looking forward to seeing.
Yeah,
you know, just even the bits. I'll take this off. Even the bits that you've put up that you filmed as we were filming were good. They look really good.
Yeah.
You know, because as you know, when you're on the stage yourself, just doing it, you've got no real perspective of what it looks like, really.
Yeah.
No, you look across and you think, oh, he looks all right, doesn't he? You know, and the girls doing the violins and the piano and all that, it was really nice. But to see it in that setting was just beautiful, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really. Sam, what do you think is it's going to be the difference between any other show that happened before Lennon? There's so many Lennon shows, isn't there? What do you think?
Yeah.
Why will ours stand out?
Well, I think for me, what I'm going to try and bring to it is me to it. Me being him. It's like, it's a difficult one, this, you know, because obviously there's some people who are very, very good at it and some aren't so good and everything, but most people do it decently. I just think it's a perspective from me doing it, if I can get what it feels like to be him doing it, if we can. You know, and the songs speak for themselves, but the presentation of it, it's about me being that and that journey I took to be that guy, and the duty to do it right, I believe. You know, to carry that legacy on and do it justice, I hope.
What we have got is a previous promo to show the people, so we're gonna show that there. So have a little look, and this is a little snippet of what's to come.
He back production, he got Warren Scumboot, he got on the sideboards, he won spinal cracker, he got feet down below his knee. Hold you in this armchair, you can love from me to you.
And I think that speaks for itself. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
I've got to tell you, it's the longest minute of quarantine I've ever spent.
But
I couldn't see.
I know you couldn't see it, but I was miming it. So hopefully you can be able to.
I thought you were great.
But in that video itself, it essentially is a completely different sound. And the Beatles backlog is essentially new material, especially with the strings.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the thing. It's a different twist in it. I think it's just a different texture that allows you to focus on the voices and the harmonies of which, and you can really see just how good the songs were. They're just so good. The melodies are so strong, aren't they?
But they're timeless, aren't they? They can go on and on and on and on, and there's going to be so many different people who do different spins on things. But the show we're going to be putting on, I think, is going to be so. It's going to be unique. It's going to be different, but I think it's going to be that sort of real, gentle side of the Beatles music. No, if you're not.
But the pause, all you got to do is get somebody really good to do it and sing it. It's the thing.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
We'll let you know.
I'll audition for you. That's not a problem. I agree with you. I agree. No jokes apart. I agree with you. And I think people tend to forget. I know when you see Oasis, who obviously were big Beatle influences, and when they tried to do what they tried to do was just distort the guitars so much to get the power, and it's not that at all. It's the harmonies, it's the vocals that are really powerful in the Beatles. The drums are virtually mixed out. The guitars are nice and springy, of course, but it's the voices that's the power. Those harmonies. I mean, even in Love Me Do, when you hear please, and that hits, it's like, whoa.
That's it. So I've got to ask you, though, coming up to the kind of the end of our chat, but what is the best after party you've ever been?
Well, I can tell you about.
That you can remember.
I can remember all of them. I was never one of those. I always kept me left up. Well, there were some crazy places I went to. You had to be very careful. You really did. It's nuts. When in Beijing one time, some fella brought us to a place it was like a part in the film, and I would get us out of here, and we did, went down. But this guy who got us out, don't worry, I'll give you a lift, the three of us, and him. So we got outside, and he looked like Kiefer Sutherland, this guy, and he was the son of someone to do with the Watergate thing, who were packed off, because we were playing for the British ambassador in Beijing. So I get outside, so, okay, where's your car? Hasn't got a car. He's got a motorbike and a sidecar. So Derek's behind me, my cousin, in the thing. Phil, the drummer's on the back of the bike, and I'm on the front of the sidecar, cross-legged, with Derek holding me like this. And we're going over. That was nuts. That was an after party I didn't remember. But we played some great celebrity ones, and one of the ones that was really, really good was Simon Pegg's Wedding, and after which I was with Steve Coogan, for a bit, and he was just he was just good company to me. I'd heard stuff about him. He was great, and a number of other people there I won't go and brag about, but that was a great. Because after we were drinking, it was fun, but not too wild, and he was just entertaining us. I got him to do his voices, but teach you how to do them. And that was a great party. That was, one of many. That was really fun. It was entertaining, and everyone was being entertained by him. It was just funny.
You've probably crossed a lot of paths to a lot of amazing people as well. Over the last how many years you've been,
20 years.
But going forward as well, it's exciting for me and Sam to be working for the next couple of projects with you.
Likewise with me. I like your enthusiasm. I love your enthusiasm. I mean, it's there's the one thing you can't buy. I mean, it's Ken Dodd used to say the same thing. One thing you need is enthusiasm, and it's true. Without it, you haven't really got much, have you? Yeah. You got to get behind what you want to do, believe in what you want to do, and be enthusiastic about doing it and delivering it.
Yeah.
So I'm as excited as you are.
It's going to be a good show. And obviously over the next couple of months and things, we can promote the show, and that's what we're looking to do. Promote the show as much as we can, and get the venues to push this for us as well, because it's going to be a great show, isn't it?
It's going to be a great show.
Yeah.
I think the tricky situation is this virus, this coronavirus, that's not per se come out of the blue, but pretty much put everyone on standstill.
Yeah, you're right. And also, you're going to have to factor in a month or two of dieting for everybody.
Certainly for me. Certainly for me.
We've got fantastic. The string section, fantastic musicians, piano players, fantastic. So everything is, the core ingredients for this is all there.
Yes.
It's just the delivery which we're working on now, and this is something we're locked down. So we keep going.
Keep going.
Well, it's a bit cruel in the sense that, it was building to a lovely crescendo, in the sense we had it all done. We filmed it, you pulled the filming in last minute, and it would look great, and the people and the team, and then this thing, which is just, so as you say, Sam, so unprecedented, and it's wild and scary and everything. It's a bit cruel, but maybe it'll give us pause to reflect about how to do it, and perhaps enjoy it that much more when we do it, I think.
I think so, and it'll be worth it. This will all be worth it to all musicians, likes of us, anyone who's in industry. It all will be worth it when it clears up.
Yeah, we'll appreciate things a lot more, I think. Take less for granted.
Absolutely. I don't know what that was. Someone creeping in the back.
Your Alexa came on then, maybe.
I don't know why.
Was that the prison guard?
No, I think that's pretty much us done for this evening. So, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Those that did tune in. We haven't got a guest next week, Chris. So we'll have to figure out who's on next week. We'll get a guest. Don't worry, we'll get you all a guest. But in the meantime...
Paul, what are you doing next week?
No, I'll just look at my diary. Nothing.
We've got a guest. No, we'll have a guest next week.
I'll wear a disguise.
Can you come and dress as Paul, please? Paul McCartney.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just face the... Sorted. Pepper. Interview Paul on Pepper. He's faced the wrong way. You see the back of my head.
No. It's been great to chat to you.
Likewise.
We've been for a long time, but on this format, it's great to talk. And Sam, well done for setting everything up again. Well done.
Well done. Yeah.
Going, Sam. A
little bit, but I'm getting there.
It's underneath which we can't see. It's like a Singer sewing machine, and his feet are going like that.
True. Like, I'm not even joking. Right then, folks, thank you so much. Thank you so much again, Paul. Thank you for taking the time. Chris, thank you as always. And make sure you follow our social media one more time. See Live on Facebook, at See Live Entertainer 1 on Twitter, and on See Live UK on Instagram as well. Guys, that has been the See Live podcast. Thank you so much. Good night and God bless everyone. Bye-bye. Stay home. Bye-bye.